Welcome to another episode of The Boss Experience, the podcast that helps small business owners 3x their marketing results with AI-powered automation and systems. My name is Michelle Davis, and I'm your host. So, in this episode, I'm going to ask you to take a very hard look at your business and ask yourself, are you losing leads before they ever become customers? Sure, you're bringing awareness to your business, you're advertising, yet you're still not seeing that predictable growth you're expecting to see based on what you're spending on ads. And it may not be the marketing issue that you think it is. It's really about what happens next. Most business owners focus so much on the awareness piece, getting noticed, getting in front of customers, that they forget to fix the broken systems that happen after someone sees your ad. This is what I call the in between, and it's where most businesses lose money. Today's episode is why your business is losing leads and how to fix it. So let's get into it. Before you can fix anything, you have to identify the problem. And I mentioned before about the in between, right? You've probably never heard of it. You've probably never thought about it. And I want to share with you exactly what the in between actually is. So think about what happens. So a customer sees your ad. Maybe they even click it to learn more about your business or what you're offering. But then once they click through or once they attempt to reach out to your business, something happens. And it could be the smallest thing. Maybe they call you and no one picks up. Maybe they call you, they leave a message and no one replies, or they take a long time to reply to their message. Or maybe your process is just confusing. They click the ad and they really don't know what to do next. And it's those experiences that will lead them to contact your competitor. And if you know anything about speed to lead, if you're not responsive to your leads within a certain amount of time, the lead goes cold and that lead is lost. And as a result, your revenue suffers. And it's costing you money every single day you do not fix it. And these aren't awareness problems, these are system problems. And you have to understand what is it that's happening in your in between so you can understand how to fix it. So now that you know what the in between is, here's how you diagnose whether your lead generation problem is related to your process, your processes, or your systems. You have to ask yourself, and you have to be honest, are leads disappearing after your first interaction? Is your team struggling to follow up quickly with leads? Are you struggling to follow up quickly with leads? You're relying on outdated processes or manual tracking of how your advertising is performing. And there's no consistent, repeatable process for moving prospects to paying customers. If you answer yes to any of those questions, that means you're spending money, yes, on awareness, on ads, and advertising and promoting your business. But the end result is your competitors are benefiting from your efforts. They're picking up those leads because their systems are working. I want to share a story with you about a company I was managing the marketing for. And with this company, they actually paid someone to go out into the field and make contact with their ideal customer. And they would leave like a drop off. Sometimes it would be a branded little baggie of maybe a calendar or, a notepad. It would be maybe some candy. And they would leave that. And they gained a lot of excitement around these little items because the more that the field marketer visited these locations, the more the prospective client or customer was enthusiastic about receiving these little gifts. And now the hope was by doing this that they would remember them when they needed their service, right? So they contacted me because they noticed that there was a lot of interest when they dropped off these items, but they never got anyone to call them back. And the more I worked with my client, the more I realized that it wasn't that the trinkets weren't a good idea, but it was the process that happens afterwards. Rarely were they available to actually accept calls. This was a contractor type business. And so a lot of their calls went to voicemail. And it would be hours by the time they were able to return the phone call. And what happens in cases like that is once they've waited a reasonable amount of time, they're on to your competitor. They're on to the next number on their list because you have to remember you're not the only person marketing to them. So once we were able to fix what was happening in the in-between process, that's when they were able to see all of the calls that came in, which was also an indication that they were missing a ton of calls, which means they were losing a lot of revenue and they never even realized it. So you have to examine what's happening in between. You have to have a means of tracking how much money are you spending on marketing? How many leads are you getting in return? And how many of those leads are actually turning into customers? So we talked about what the in-between is. Now let's talk about the big mistake that business owners make when they notice they're not getting enough leads that are actually turning into customers, or when they notice they're not getting the number of customers they should be getting based on what they're spending on advertising. So a common thought is if I'm not getting enough customers, I need to advertise more, or I need to spend more on advertising, or maybe hiring someone dedicated to marketing, like a marketing coordinator or marketing director, is going to fix my problem. Or hiring a marketing agency, right? They're going to fix my problem. But if you haven't mapped out your entire acquisition system, knowing what happens from the time someone first becomes aware of you and all of the processes in between them booking with you, if you don't map all of that out, you really don't know what the problem is, and you're losing money because you're taking action in a way that you're trying to fix what you think is wrong instead of what actually is wrong in your business. And it's a common mistake that a lot of business owners make because they think it's a marketing problem. It's really a systems issue. And until you've identified and fixed the system, you'll continue having a problem. It doesn't matter how much you spend on advertising. And it also doesn't matter if you hire someone, because if you bring someone into a broken system or you don't have processes in place to set them up for success or to guide their efforts, you're going to see the same results. You have to fix what's happening in between in a way that guides someone from just learning about you to actually making that decision to book with you. And if you're running ads and paying for advertising and everything leads to that broken system, no amount of money or additional staff members can fix it. Now that you know what the problem is, you know how to diagnose it, how do you actually solve it? And one of the things we do at Gemstone Consulting Services is we fix the in between. And here's how. We map out that customer acquisition process for you. We identify the weak points and where your leads are falling through the cracks. We help you implement AI-powered systems that handle follow-up, booking, and retention automatically. We train your team to run these systems effectively if you have a team. And we audit your advertising expenses so that you know what's working and what's not, and you're only investing in what's actually bringing you the leads. No gimmicks, no shiny tools. We help you establish proven systems in your business to increase the output, reduce hiring costs, and improve retention. And what is the outcome for all of that? Your marketing delivers better return on your investment. So there's no more spending thousands of dollars and not seeing anything in return. And you stop losing leads to your competitors who simply have better systems in place. So if this episode made you realize that you possibly have some broken systems, you're not seeing those leads come in and convert into booked appointments or paying customers, you're not alone. And I'm so glad you tuned into this episode because now you have the blueprint for what you need to do to change things around, right? So let's do a recap. You know that the in between is what happens once someone becomes aware of you and actually makes a decision to book with you and work with your company, right? You know you have to actually identify where your leads are falling through the cracks. Otherwise, you don't know what to fix, right? And that's called your customer acquisition process. You have to know what it looks like. What are all the little things that happens, in your response time, in your prospects experience trying to connect with your company, and you have to fix those things so that you can plug in the right systems and establish the right processes that are going to help you guide someone along in a way that takes them from just learning about you to answering their questions and it really giving them the confidence that they need to move forward and book with you as a paying customer. And you may not realize it, but there's a lot of moving parts in between what happens when someone first learns about you and actually getting to the point of booking an appointment and becoming your customer. So it's very important that you map everything out so that you can plug in the cracks. You can fix the cracks and you can start seeing the return on your investment because advertising is not cheap and it's never pleasant when you're not seeing the results that you want to see and you're not seeing the revenue growth that you want to see in your business. So with that said, before you reorganize, right? Before you go out and hire that marketing director, let's put the systems in place so that you're not bringing people into a broken system. People can perform at their best when they have systems and processes in place that are working and you're just plugging them into it. And based on what we show you, you may not even need those additional positions at all, which would save you what, about 60, 70 grand for a marketing director? You could save that money and invest it in plugging in the holes and in really fixing your process and also making sure that you have a well functioning lead generation system. So if you're ready to work smarter and not harder, all you have to do is book a free marketing efficiency assessment by heading over to ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com. That's ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com. And even if you don't decide to work with me and my team, you'll leave that conversation with clarity, a clear plan, and options for how to fix the problem, whether you work with us or not. And with that said, that's a wrap. Head over to ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com and book a marketing efficiency assessment. And this is for people who are actually spending money on advertising. So if you're new and just starting out and you haven't spent your first dollar yet, this isn't the type of call for you. This is for business owners who are spending money. They have teams and they're looking for better marketing efficiency with what they're spending. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Boss Experience podcast. I can't wait for you to tune in to the next episode. And if you found this information useful, be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching this episode or listening to this episode so that you know the next time a new episode is available. And feel free to share this episode with another business owner that needs to hear this or within your business networks. And until next time, work smarter, not harder, with AI powered automation and systems. Bye for now.